Serious, what's the most interesting creepiest thing you've read on an internet forum? A long time ago on Funny Junk, maybe like 8 years ago or so, in the comments someone just said type X into Google Images. The X was basically just some random characters like CHG 756 who. So I did it and turned out to be like inappropriate pictures of kids I think. I really don't even remember because I clicked off it so fast. Really spooked me for a while. I always assumed police were gonna come crashing through my door. Whoa, I had the same exact thing happen to me on Funny Junk. Small world. That fricked with me for a while too. A story I saw on a similar Ask Reddit post. A man had one of those night vision cameras to monitor his baby. Babies on night vision camera are creepy enough. He was in bed and looked at the camera and the baby was missing. He then turned up the volume and heard a woman singing to a baby. He goes to the nursery and the baby is fine. Turns out he was getting the video signal from a neighbor who also had an infant. I was expecting a much creepier ending to that story. My favorite was that time on 4chan where someone was like, if you can guess your post number, I'll tell you where I hid the bodies. Someone did and he gave coordinates, and the next few days reports came in of bodies being found at that exact spot. It was crazy. The Grail movement cult, with the Moreover sisters' cannibalistic torture of their sons, and the creepy Barbara Skrulova. Ugh. Probably the deepest rabbit hole I've gone chasing on the internet, and I still don't understand all of it. So in the Czech Republic, 2007, a father sets up a baby monitor to check on his newborn, but when he turns it on, instead of seeing his own baby asleep in his crib, he instead sees an image of an 8-year-old boy, naked, tied up, in a corner of a dirty cellar. He calls the cops. The cops realize the guy has accidentally gotten a signal from the same baby monitor in a nearby house, so they go door to door to figure out where it is. They find the Moreover sisters. The Moreovers are 2 adult sisters who live together. The older sister is a single mom of 2 young boys. She has also recently adopted a 13-year-old girl named Anna. It's her boys that are tied up in a cellar being tortured. It's her boys that have had skin peeled off their body, fried in a pan, and served to their mother and aunt. Turns out they are part of a cult and that is why they are abusing the boys. Initially, the cops think the girl Anna is being abused too, but she doesn't have any of the same burns, bruises, or scars, and the boys, who heart-breakingly keep insisting that they deserve the punishment the adults gave them because they were bad, confirm that the girl isn't ever touched, and that, in fact, the abuse didn't start until after she came to live with them, and that she typically is included in dishing out the punishments to the boys. And then you find out that 13-year-old Anna is actually 33-year-old Barbara Skrulova. We find that out when she runs away to another country and shaves her head to pose as a 14-year-old boy. Fortunately, she is caught and dragged back to face prosecution. And she is the daughter of the cult leader, who is apparently trying to set her up to be worshipped as a savior? I don't actually know. They claim they are part of the Grail movement, but the rest of the Grail movement insists they are outsiders who aren't part of that religion. It's all so very, very crazy. The rabbit hole runs deep on this one. Used to browse B and X and other dumb crap on 4chan. I remember a post where a guy posted coordinates to an abandoned barn warehouse and said something along the lines of first to find out what is in here gets a prize. Some guy had the balls and went exploring, updating in real time. Some weird crap like pill bottles full of Xanax and Adderall along with some words written in what can only be described as blood. Very fresh. Found a dead animal between 2 paper plates with something written on one. Last picture was a 100% dark hallway. Crap was like SpongeBob darkness. No pictures or posted from OP after that. Few days later, some guy posts an article about a murder-suicide at that place. Freaky crap yo. There was a long text somewhere where a guy would describe how he turns young girls into living fleshlights by removing the limbs and brainwashing for rich people. The problem was not with the topic. Every edgy teenager now could think up something that sounds fricked up, but it was the detailing. It was very well written. Also, you could feel the person's addiction and fanatism to this thing through his writing. Since reading that, everything seems mild. The story is called Lolita Slave Toys and it's fake. This was a few years ago, so I'm not sure about its validity, but I remember reading a post from a person who had a necrophilia fetish, and who described a story about how he choked out a woman and became increasingly aroused as she was dying. Again, I'm not sure if it's true, as I doubt anyone would be stupid enough to admit that they killed someone online, but it's certainly something. On the other hand, one I distinctly remember to actually have existed was a surprisingly long post on a Bioware forum where a user tried to figure out exactly what Aloy from Mass Effect smelled like. He included chemical formulas and everything to try and figure out her exact scent. Definitely the thing after the Parisian terrorist attacks, where there was a post telling everyone that there was going to be an event in Paris almost a year earlier. They warned to stay away from major events, transportation, etc. One could say that this was a wild guess or just a 1 in a million coincidence. And then a week before the attacks, the thread, which had been inactive for almost a year, was bumped with a post saying, "Post before the Kalashnikovs." Kalashnikovs are better known, I believe, as AKs, the kind of guns used in the Paris attacks. It was all really peculiar. If somebody has a link, that'd be helpful, as I can't seem to find it. I believe there was one on the Our World News megathread about the attacks in November. Dang, this sounds interesting, but there are no links yet. One time, when I was around 15, I watched a documentary on Armin Meiwes, a cannibal, and how he met his victim on a website called the Cannibal Cafe. Intrigued, I tried searching for it. It was taken down, but I managed to find a link which I used in the Internet Archive Wayback Machine, so I could see how the site looked around 2003. I found a lot of very explicit and disgustingly detailed stories about cannibalism. There was this one guy in particular I saw that went into obscene amounts of detail about how he wanted to tie a woman up and cook her, eat her. I noticed he included his email address in his posts. For some reason, like 8-9 years later, he was still using the same email and even used it for Facebook. He was an older man with a few kids. So, being the immature shithead I was, I added his kids and sent them links to their father's posts and proof that it was him. TLDR. Cannibal fetishist websites. I survived the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center. I was with my mother in the South Tower. After doing news segments, people created a subforum specifically to discuss how our story is 100% fake. What a bunch of buttholes. That Lyme disease often goes unnoticed and untreated until it is too late. Lyme disease can mimic a lot of different nasty diseases and can also develop into nasty diseases when it isn't found. Apparently it is very hard to diagnose. Use that date, people. They can vaccinate animals for it but not humans, which I find really odd. Although I know nothing about modern medicine, I wish there was a human vaccination. I remember I used to hang out a lot on Game FAQs. A user called Jedi Knight 12345 nearly got the whole site shut down when he posted about burning down a church on the board current events. CM and yeah, like betards for B, encouraged him to as a joke. He returned later with evidence, was later arrested and proven guilty due to his computer game fax posts pictures. Not really that interesting, creepy, but hey, it was rather surreal at the time. Vug smiles approvingly. Was on Reddit sometime last fall winter and I stumbled upon a link to a website that was a map of the world with clickable areas. When cities were clicked on, it opened up a window displaying somebody's webcam, only it didn't appear they were aware of it. I clicked on a few to see what it was all about and there were just people watching TV with their webcam broadcasting their living room activities over the internet. One was a baby sleeping in a crib. Most were empty rooms. It was super creepy. I tried looking for the post to link it, but I didn't find it immediately and I don't really feel like searching for it. A858 is pretty interesting. There's a sub dedicated to the codes posted to the A858 sub. A member of the group posting them even did an AMA with responses entirely in code. It's cool but also creepy in the way one of the posts had "please help me" or something similar in it. When the A858 sub gets too much traffic, it apparently goes private and deletes its posts. Fortunately there's the codebreaker guys that log and save everything so nothing is missed. This has been going on for years. What is A858? For creepy. Definitely the people talking about how it's technically legal to frick so and so person who is way younger than them. Years ago I read a forum post about a guy who found out, quite late in life, that his stepsister was the P-star Casey Cox and had been masturbating to her videos for years. BME Pain Olympics. A man took a wood chisel to his middle finger and pounded it off. I threw up and couldn't sleep for a while. There was a story on Reddit a while ago about this guy who was the submissive in a relationship for another guy. The story was the interview with him and how his dominant male partner cut off the submissive's dong without permission and how the sub eventually forgave him. There was this site I stumbled upon when I was trying to be edgy and exploring the darknet. It was called The Human Experiment. Now I couldn't say whether any of it was real or not, but it was enough to make me turn off my computer and go outside. It was basically just documents about various human experimentation facilities located around the United States, where the people were kept in rows of 5 feet by 4 feet cages in warehouses for experiments along the lines of how much bleach does it take to abort a baby if you're wondering. Apparently 10 milliliters of bleach injected into the uterus will abort a baby in 5 days. Pretty spooky crap. Can't remember where I read it exactly, it was about 7-8 years ago, but it was this guy in Belgium or somewhere convinced his parents were not his real parents and he was kidnapped and raised as their own. Mainly due to him and his sister looking nothing alike and always being told that there's no baby pictures because they were all destroyed in a fire. So he did some digging around missing persons reports for boys reported missing and found nothing. Then he decided to search for house fires to see if he could find any news articles about it. He found one about one in an area the other side of his country. So he searched for missing kids from there and bingo, his sister was taken at 3 years old from a children's birthday party. He was 19-20 at the time and his sister was a year or two older than him, and when the parents were confronted about it they both killed themselves. I can't remember exactly. I just remember after reading it I did some digging into my own family to make sure I wasn't a kidnapped baby. It was about this guy having the most fricked up suicide ever, like having his hands glued to head. I forgot most of the details, but it was from a conversation between two guys. Stand on top of building. Have tight line of razor wire suspended in front of you. Feet tied to something on the building that can hold your weight. Reach under and over the wire. Gluing hands to one's head with the wire against your neck. Fall forward. End result, your body will dangle upside down as your hands hold your decapitated head. That one 4chan thread about a literal skull fucking, like, literally literal, guy visits a famous historical site in Europe while on vacation which features a ton of human skulls, bones, and full skeletons and decides to steal one. After smuggling it out, he deliberates for a while about how to get it back home to the US with other people in the thread, when someone of course, suggests he frick it. Instead of just ignoring them though, he actually goes through with it, and even posts pictures of him putting his chubby into some decomposing dead guy's head from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. IDK if this falls more on the creepy side or the interesting side. That maggot girl story I found on Reddit one time. Don't know where to find it. If someone linked it that wouldn't be great. This was a few years ago on a forum which is now gone, so some of the details are a bit hazy. Someone posted about either them or their brother deciding to break into an abandoned house with some friends around the time they graduated high school. Teenagers tend to do crazy and dangerous things to celebrate graduation, and this was one of those houses that neighborhood kids talk about a lot, so it was pretty natural. They broke in through a window and found most of the house was empty. However, when they went upstairs, they found one of the rooms had several photos in it. While they looked at them, someone noticed some stains on the floor and walls, and realized it was blood. At this point it dawned on them that they were in the perfect setup for the opening scene of a slasher film. Then they heard footsteps. Immediately they bolted, and managed to get out of the house and got to safety without ever seeing who was there. For some reason they never reported it to police. Read a weird post about two gay guys in a dom-sub relationship, where the dom wanted the sub's dong and balls in a jar. It was a detailed process of the removal. It was written as an interview. I was playing Counter-Strike, source real late with a bunch of friends, and a guy from our community sent me a B link and a message that read something like, "You'll never freaking believe this. It was a naked woman and a man posing with her dead husband's body. They all looked like bikers and the poses were absolutely fricked. Dude's head was on a table or something with his dong stuffed in his mouth. Pictures of them fricking with the headless corpse, etc. The story I remember being posted with it was something about them all getting high on PCP, murdering him and then gleefully playing with the body. There are two things I have seen, one which is interesting and creepy and the other one is interesting in the what the frick kind of way. No idea if they were true. They sound true but I don't really care. The thought of them alone was entertaining, at least in some morbid way. The first was a pretty common popular story of some guy driving at night in some lonely road in buttfuck nowhere. The guy is driving like usual when he comes to a curve, and there is a crash. Two cars in like a semi-T-bone position, suitcases and clothes and crap everywhere, and two bodies on the floor. The guy was about to get out of the car to help when he felt something was off. He said that the scene seemed too perfect, so he kept going. When he was a little ahead he stopped and he saw his rearview mirror and both bodies had gotten up and were staring at him intensely. Naturally the guy freaks the frick out and floors it and takes his eyes off the mirror for like a second. Then looks again and out of the bushes in the side of the road he sees like 50 fricking people standing up looking at him. Frick that. As for the second one, sigh Jesus, myself, just like almost everyone here on Reddit have seen the regular fricked up crap of people dying, shooting themselves, people decapitated, dismembered, whatever. It's not like it's fun but we have seen it. But I saw a post from 4chan, I don't even remember where, and it was a series of pictures of a guy cutting the head of his dong off. He tied a string or an elastic band really tight around it, and kept twisting it around and tightening it, until he just cut it off. Why would even cut off the head of your dong? Not even the whole sklong but just the head? It's not like it's reversible. It's one of those things I just can't wrap my head around. It was so freaking strange that I don't even know what to think about it. That first one is possibly the creepiest story I've ever seen. I need to find the complete story somewhere. I think about a month ago there was a question about the creepiest thing you've done. One of the answers was about a guy stalking a girl and it ended with him jerking off in the washroom stall next to her while she poured. I read his comment history and that's probably the weirdest crap I've read in a long while. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.